I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Oops, the podcast is what we are, and I'm Francis, and he's Giulio Gallerati. G, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Oh, how about that intro? That was a good one, right?
I love it. Love it.
We are joined by an illustrious guest today. You may know him from his new album, Jurden, y'all. Eponymously named. He's also done the Late Show, or the Tonight Show, with Jimmy Fallon. He was featured as one of the Just for Laughs black faces this past summer. No. Please welcome Jurden, everybody.
Thank you. I was in Canada. I saw a lot of foreskin. They still got it up there. You guys know that?
Oh yeah.
Gosh. Is it true?
Yeah.
They're not shaving it, huh?
No. It's like that strictly continental U.S. type energy.
It's funny because the Canadians still have the British royalty on their currency, and I don't really understand that either. It appears that they take a lot from Britain and from Europe in general.
How are you?
Jay, I'm well. You're in a very artful place. Where are you located right now?
I'm in Harlem at my house. I'm in New York, in my apartment rather. Just kind of dealing with it all and, hunkering down during the pandemic.
Fantastic.
You live with people?
Yeah, I live with my boyfriend. So he curated the wall. Well, I picked out a few of the pieces, but he's responsible for things going up. We put up 2 pieces today that we rearranged. We got a huge new mirror for sex. No, it's for his work desk. And then which is also sex. And because it pays the bills in this house. And then he moved 2 nudes that we have over the couch. Tasteful nudes. Really, I love it.
Love a good tasteful nude.
Yeah.
Now, Jay, when a queer couple starts to decorate, can that lead to a power struggle?
Well, no, because since I'm bi, I just get to go do what you want.
Oh, okay. So you just defer. You become a straight man in that instant.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely wear camo face, as it were. Yeah. I just go, baby, whatever you want. With these pieces. Okay. There's a piece of I feel so bad. I don't know this artist, and people ask about it all the time. There's a pop art piece where it's Mr. Fantastic holding a used condom, and it's Spider-Man grabbing his junk.
I can see
and
that.
My boyfriend got those as a surprise gift for me because I love comic books, but he was like, but it has to be gay. And so that's the compromise. I'll be like, what about this? He's like, yes, but.
Love it. G, do you know Jay? Have you guys met before?
Yeah, we met a couple of times.
Yeah, we met in passing at the stand at the show. At all the sold out shows. 2 of them.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Good shit.
Very cool. So Jay, we're 6 or 7 odd weeks into this, and we don't want to spend too much time on Corona stuff. But one of the questions Giulio actually sort of mentioned it, and I'm going to steal it from him, is you are a former personal trainer of Equinox fame.
No, not Equinox. I was at a much gayer gym. The only gayer gym. I was at David Barton.
Oh, shit. I used to go to David Barton.
David Barton. Which one?
The one in Astor Place.
Oh, you went to the one I worked, the one with the disco ball. The gayest gym in all of New York, which is a very high bar or a very low bar. Do you understand?
It was fucking awesome.
It was a glorified sex club with a few ellipticals. That's all it was.
Wow.
Yeah, man. The color schemes, it was dark colors, very aggressive gay men everywhere. It was a fucking party, dude.
You probably, the cool thing about being straight but being comfortable is you get hit on and then you go, not for me, and then you go, but I do want to look like you. Can I like hop in, dog?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can I like? Are you gonna use incline the rest? Okay, cool. Can we work it? Great. Oh yeah, we're in a domestic partnership for the rest of this set, I guess. What's up, baby?
Can
Exactly.
you tell if someone is gay based on how toned or the way that their body is toned?
It's a few telltale signs when you go into a gym if someone is gay. If a man is gay. If a woman's gay, that's like a whole. It depends on how much attention she wants. There's a lot.
Yeah,
But
I don't really want to talk about. I don't want to talk about women.
if a he's smart. Even though March was Women's History Month, you can act up now.
Oh, God.
He
Gag me with
if
a spoon.
if a guy has on like a stringer tank, like a tiny spaghetti strap stringer tank that's like a racer kind of set up in the back too, he's either a really like into the bodybuilding guy or he's gay. Short length has gotten tougher to distinguish because guys discovered like the 5-inch Lululemons and they fell in love with them. Like if the first straight guys wore the 7-inch inseam Lululemons, and then straight guys were like, I really like the 5-inch inseam Lululemons. So then gay guys had to go to the 3-inch inseam Lululemons.
The belt.
So it was like, it was the Cold War of shorts, basically. we thought we had something, and then it kept escalating.
That is funny.
So I can usually tell based on short length, based on the tank top, and like if they blew me in the steam room. Those three things will let me know. I can kind of like get a hint.
Love it. Jay, how have you been passing the time? I mean, well, actually, let's stay on fitness. You know, how are you maintaining your physique? What's your regimen?
So I'm gonna give you real answers. I have a kind of an outdoor, not like a corridor, that has a pull-up bar. I can kind of see it. It's a pull-up bar and a bench, and I have a kettlebell and 3 like levels of resistance bands with handles. So I can do a lot of things, and then the rest of the stuff is just body weight. So a lot of calisthenics. I'm doing pull-ups in like an unfinished concrete courtyard. So I just look like an extra in a Rough Riders video. I just look like I should be behind DMX and Jadakiss. Like, you know, like it's very bare bones. So I'm doing that. Ab work can happen at home. And then a lot of push-ups. No one's bench is going to get better during this. I trained a lot of women whenever I was at David Barton. Women want a male trainer. A lot of women want a male trainer that they feel comfortable around, because there's a bit of intimidation and negative female versus female energy sometimes. But then they also want maybe not the fully fleshed out fantasy of like, oh, well, my trainer's stretching me out, and then we might even do some exercises type of energy too.
Yeah, that whole thing's a little obsolete. I feel like you don't want your trainer to be like a creep.
Oh, well, as I can speak from experience, there are 2 instances where like I hooked up with a person and then they asked me to train them. And so I didn't feel like a creep because the hookups happened before.
Yeah.
Right, totally.
I think that's fine.
I mean, it always gets to a very interesting place because it's bodies on bodies, a lot of touching, a lot of contact. So.
I had a personal trainer when I was in high school who, like, you know, in Maine. So I think we were paying him $20 an hour. And you know what I mean? We were going to Planet Fitness, and we would sneak in, and he like one day he told me out of the blue that he had just found out that he was a father, and that the child was like 6 months old when he found out. And he showed me a picture, and he was like, yeah, you want to meet him? And I was like, dude, I can't process any of what you're saying. Like, I looked up to you, and now you're and he was telling me how much he hated the woman, but the woman was a woman he had trained, and then they had sex. She got pregnant, had the baby, didn't tell him, like went through the whole pregnancy, all that, and then was like 6 months after the child was born, like started hitting him up for child
6 months
support.
afterwards, because she was like, I need to get rid of this baby weight, homie.
Yeah.
Savage.
Jay, are you what are you doing now for work?
I was pretty fortunate in the sense that like I saved up a lot for my college tour, and then I had a few projects that kind of stopped right before. I did a Zoom college show, and because the money was already allocated, they had to pay me for a Zoom show full rate at a wonderful school, University of Wyoming. Go Broncos! We love Laramie. But like that happened, and I was pretty cool about that. Working, there's a lot of like digital stuff that people are asking for, so I'm trying to filter and do those requests as quickly as possible, and kind of also see what's worth it and what's not. But it's dry right now. Like I had stuff that I'm happy I saved, but it's very slow.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you had I've never even heard of something like that. So did you have to do an hour on this Zoom show?
Yeah, so I did an hour, and what I made sure of is I did 45, and then I said, because there was a bit of delay, I said, at this point, start typing anything you want me to ask or any questions you have. And so then I'll go through all of those questions for the last 15. And they were fun. Like they had comments kind of during, whenever you do anything Zoom related with comedy for me now, I want their microphones on unless there's unless it's super noisy, because you want to hear at least a tiny bit of a laugh. You want to, just from a sequencing standpoint, from a timing, you want to go, okay, we're here. Like this is the ebb and flow of the set. So it doesn't feel completely schizophrenic, but it was fine. It's not ideal. Like any virtual comedy feels like turkey bacon.
Right.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Do you even do your set? Do you change it? Because I have to do it Friday. I'm nervous.
What I always say is do your set, but then have it so loose that you can get into and out of, if you want to treat it like a podcast, if you want to treat it like an interview, if you want to riff a little. At one point, and I would never do this on a show, the host came back and I was like, let's talk for a second. We ain't got nothing else to do. And they're like, yeah, let's talk. Like you're basically at your house. And so anyone who, Francis actually talked about this once. He said, like, when people do morning show stuff, if they have material that organically can come up in the interview process, like go balls to walls. But if you're kind of stiff and just very much hitting play on your set, like it just feels so inorganic and a waste of time via this medium.
Totally. 100%.
I'm struggling to get my mind around this. The University of Wyoming hired you to do a Zoom set, and then
they hired me to do a show.
Oh, right.
And because they allocate, because spring money for colleges was handled and kind of like finished in January,
right.
if not December. They're like, this is how much money we have for this thing, and so they can't. I mean, and we'd already signed the offer, so
that's awesome.
They had to pay me.
So my question is, were there, 50 students in tiny little squares watching you?
Yeah, so it was like went from like 20 to 50, and they were watching, or just like their profile was there and their audio was on. I mean,
cool.
But the fun part is that like if they wanted to say anything in real time, they could, and it doesn't feel heckly. Like you just, because it doesn't interrupt you talking, you say it.
So
then you just end up being like, oh, I can address this now too.
Did they speak up while you were telling jokes? I think even on Zoom that would bother me.
Yeah, but if they said anything, because like you want to get to your hour, you're like, I can address this and get back into my material. I'm not worried. We because like in a show, you derail the show, momentum is lost, but the momentum is completely different this way. So you can be like, what? Yeah. Oh, I asked them. They were asking me. I have like 2 Wyoming jokes. So like I can like kind of retrofit and make. I can make it about any state, but I made it for Wyoming. And they were like, "Oh, but I mean, like, how do you feel in New York?" I was like, "I feel pretty safe in New York. I mean, you guys don't have the best history, good people." And then they were like, "But we only have 6 cases of COVID-19." I was like, "You know what? You got me there. You guys are right.
Yeah.
You guys are right."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also 12 people in the entire state.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. 50% infection rate. Oh no, that's horrible.
Yeah. Wyoming is big on meth, right?
They're big on meth, but they're also like very big on their wildlife. They kept telling me the animals they had. It went from like we have moose, we have bison, we have moose, we have elk, we have bears, we have
Incredible.
cougars. And I was like, I've been to a gay bar. It's fine. Like you don't have to do. Why do we categorize ourselves like this?
Yeah. Also, was this a second grader? Like what, who names all the animals they know? You know what I mean? It's like you're walking into a classroom.
They told me to look when I found out that they had bison. I was like, just around? And they're like, I mean, so they've had a resurgence. And they're like, look at our state flag. And I was like, I'm from Mississippi. Don't look at our state flag.
It's really one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Is that what you're going to ask?
I was going to ask if you've been there to Wyoming.
Yeah, I went to Yellowstone one time on a road trip. It was fucking amazing.
It's awesome.
I thought you were talking about Mississippi, and I was going to say no.
I have
no, it's pretty in spots like the airport and the view from like the plane when you're getting out of there. Pristine.
Yeah, dude, Wyoming is stunning. I've skied in Jackson Hole, and then also I've done like we drove out there when I was a kid, and we drove through Wyoming and Montana, and then whitewater rafted. We went to Yellowstone, but then we also whitewater rafted down the Salmon River in Idaho.
Wow.
And we would see like bobcats and mountain lions and all kinds, elk.
Incredible.
Everything. It was really cool.
I'm like a big old animal nerd, so that's also the best way to like to derail my set. If you mention anything about animals, I'm like, oh, what? Like, so the thing that like really got me is they said they have like antelope, like they have pronghorn antelope, which are like the second fastest animals in the world, and they're like in the US and people don't know about them. And I was like, like pronghorn antelope? And they're like, well, I'm like home on the range, like the song talks about antelope, and they're like, we don't have antelope in the US. I'm like, yes, we do.
Where the deer and the antelope play.
Antelope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's part of our Americana, and people don't know that. I'm upset. I'm actually getting mad now.
Yeah.
Let them know, man.
Hey,
what up,
Jay?
G?
Tell us about when you did Fallon. I just have so many questions about that. We've had a couple guests on the pod who have done Fallon sets, but that was your first late night set. You crushed it. It was like I watched it with you at Stand Up New York that night.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And tell us about Jimmy. Was he boozing? I know he's a notorious lush.
Oh, these are things you find out about Jimmy Fallon when you meet him. He's real life tall. A lot of people are TV tall. He's real life tall. Not super tall, not 6'4". He's 6'2", 6'1". It's not a game. Very friendly. He came. It was a super special day. So I'll talk about the lead up to it and then what happened on the day that I really don't discuss it because it's like an inside thing. So I found out I didn't think I was going to get to do the show. Michael Cox, the booker, he told everyone that was at JFL, he was like, I love everyone's stuff. I could see a lot of potential in this group. I like a lot of people's stuff, but we're probably not going to have anyone from this group on Fallon in 2019 because of the way that the NBC contract with the NFL is set up. We're trying to do a little bit more social media outreach. So we're gonna 2020 though. It'll be you guys this year. Little did he know. So then I go do like a lot of my college shows. I do one show in the Midwest, and I want to say I'm in Indiana, and I get a text that's like, "Are you free?" It's like Tuesday, the 22nd of October, and I go, "Yeah." And then my agent goes, "Okay, just keep that open." And in my head, I'm thinking, "Okay, Comedy Central. Oh, it's Comedy Central. It's Comedy Central. I just had a really good like email with Gab from Comedy Central. I'm doing something for Comedy Central." And then the next week, my agent at APA, Megan, she was like, "All right, are you like sitting down?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was in a hotel room, like a hotel room that has like a view of the pool, but the pool's inside." It was just like very
terrible.
middle America.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a lot of carpet everywhere, even close to the pool, like that kind of energy.
Yeah.
She says, "You're doing the Tonight Show on the 22nd." And I like am in a room with 2 beds, and I literally like got off of the bed I was sitting on, like went to the other bed, sat down. Like it was like, I was like, what do I do with this news or this energy? And I was by myself. I was in a rental car. She told me to resend a transcript that I had sent to Michael in July. Well, no, so August would have been after JFL. And then she was like, "It's the 22nd," and I had like 13 days. I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I like did my like little celebratory call list. I called everyone close to me. Like I called my boyfriend, I called my mom, and then I called my manager, and then I think I called like my college mentor, and that was it. And you can't even celebrate because you're in a rental car and you're in the middle of nowhere. I like went to Chipotle. I was like, yeah. I was like, "Oh yeah, guac, I got it, girl. Let's go." And so the next week, I'm like, I'm very busy. I had 4 college shows in 5 days. And then the next weekend, I get back to New York. So I have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to run the set as much as I can in New York. And I run like 4 times on Saturday, 3 times on Sunday, once at the Cellar at Fat Black on Monday. And I have to send each one of those recordings to the booker and get notes and like cut. Not really too much internal edits, just like cut one thing for time. And then Tuesday happens, and I got a new jacket. Like my boyfriend surprised me with like some Givenchy sneakers. Like it was like nice. And you get there like at 3:30, and if you're the comic, you don't go until around like 6. So I walked in, and it's some of the best treatment I've ever received. They had like 2 dressing rooms, one for like quiet and one where everyone could like go and a monitor and like party and food. And so kind of after you do your rehearsal and you hear the crew laugh, you go, "Okay, okay, okay, cool. Oh yeah, this is good. This is good. I'm here." Yeah. And then
can I pause you? I have a quick question. Let me pause you for 1 second. Does the crew laugh because Jimmy Fallon has told them to do that because he's like the most supportive, laughy person of all time?
No, they do it because if it's like your debut and they've never heard of you, they like all come out and like they're like, "Oh, cool. I want to see what this kid's gonna do."
That's cool.
Because they're like, it's the one they're like, "Oh, this is an X factor. We don't." Right. Yeah. And it could even be like a morbid curiosity of like, let's see what this is about.
Right.
And so like when they laughed, I was like, okay. And then I like go to wash my hands, and Black Thought from The Roots, he sees me about to wash my hands, and he tells me to lean back from the sink so I don't get my pants wet on national television. I was like, thank you so much, Black Thought.
Cool. Yeah.
And then like I met Jimmy, and the big secret of the recording that I was on was all of my stuff was gonna be live. It was Jessica Biel who was promoting the Sinner on USA, and then it was Billy Crudup who was promoting Morning Show, which I just watched, and he did an amazing job in. But the secret was that Lorne Michaels was there and Adam Sandler was there, because Lorne Michaels was there to see Tim Meadows, who was doing Seth Meyers upstairs. Adam Sandler was there promoting Uncut Gems, so then Lorne Michaels wanted to see him. And I didn't even know this, but Lorne Michaels and Adam Sandler both saw my set. And so you meet Jimmy, and then like after the second segment, you're it. It's like 2 guests, then like a little thing, then you. And so you walk backstage, and the producer like basically shows you the blue curtain you're going to come out from. And you did it in rehearsal, but it's so much different because you hear Jimmy talking about you to the crowd of people that are kind of tourists, and they're like scream when you come out. It's like a wall of sound, to the point where like my first words, I'm like, okay, like let me do my jokes. And it went really well. I had like one little aside to the Roots, because you can hear them laugh very loud because they're to your left. And so I have a tag about Mary J. Blige that I put in my set like a few months before, and it was doing very well with like if there were ever Black people in the crowd, and I heard them keep laughing, and they kept laughing while I'm trying to get through my set. And instead of telling them stop, I just pointed so that people would know like that's what was going on. And then it went it went fun. I hit all the marks I wanted to, and then like you get to sit down with them. A lot of people get the couch invite now, but you get to sit down with him and promote your project, and he talked to me, and it was super sweet backstage and on there. I'd like told him when I was on stage with him, I said, you're like the person that helped me train my falsetto, like Idiot Boyfriend. Like I would just sing that, like I'm an idiot and I'm your boyfriend, like that song that he had when he was like kind of a comedy pop star, when he could do no wrong. I was like, that trained my falsetto. He's like, oh man, he's like, we gotta have you back. I said, you're in charge of that, not me. And then,
That's great. A great story.
And then that same night, I did a show at Caroline's because I didn't want to like renege on that gig. I did like a benefit show for like kids with, I think with like cancer, and like Mark Norman like made fun of one of the kids. It was just like, so funny. And then I had dinner with my team and my boyfriend, and then I watched it at Stand Up New York. But like Adam Sandler after my set came up to me. He's like, that's how you do it. He's like, that's a 10. I was like, what? And so I never tell people that because they won't believe me, but he was filming his episode because when they were going to air it was Jimmy was going to be at the University of Texas in Austin. So Adam Sandler was there to like film his bits before, to film his like little section. And he complimented my set, and I was like, holy shit.
That's pretty dope, dude.
Awesome.
That doesn't sound like it could have gone any better, honestly.
Oh, it's all downhill from here. Honestly, this interview has picked it back up, but it's been a downward spiral ever since.
Well, dude, I'm glad that we could stop the downward momentum for you.
Yeah. Jay, you've got a new album out.
I do.
Jay Jurden Y'all. This is your it's your first album,
I like
right?
hearing you say that. I like you as a very, very Yankee person saying y'all.
Yes. Jay Jurden Y'all is out now on iTunes, Spotify, I presume, everywhere that you can listen to music. Or
everywhere.
Yeah.
If you call me, I will do the full 48 minutes on your phone. If you have $9.99, I will do that.
Let me ask you this. You know, a lot of comedians are putting out albums, and it's something where I feel like either I'm wrong in thinking that albums kind of went away for a bit and now are making a comeback, or were they just there all along and like I'm aware of more comedians doing them now?
I think it's a yes to both, but varying degrees. I think albums were always there, but we saw like the expansion and kind of popularization of people just putting out the audio of their special instead of saying, I want to do an album.
Right.
Because before there was like enough space special wise, people had to put out albums. And then when like the market exploded and every place could potentially give you an hour or 30 minutes, then albums kind of went the way of the dodo, or they became an afterthought. And so for a lot of younger comics now, albums are a really cool way to say, I want to put out long form material and it's not necessarily a special. And like with my album, I only sold them the audio rights. So if I want to do any of that material on a special, anything that I really love from that, I can still do it on TV or on like a streaming platform. So I liked it. I was offered, it's like, to me, a comedy album is like grad school. Like someone should want you to do it. You know what I mean? So that's like another thing. Like I was offered and like had a really good opportunity with Comedy Dynamics. And I had the material. I also had the messaging I wanted to get out. I kind of had a fun through line I wanted to handle. And I also knew that I'd been working on an hour plus so much that there was no way that I wouldn't be happy with it.
Right.
It's all stuff I still stand by, no matter what. And it feels like it's from a different time because of what's going on right now, but I still stand by all that shit. I don't think there's going to be a point in my career, because I listened to it so much and I edited a lot of it. There's not going to be a point where I'm like, oh, I don't like that joke. I'll be like, oh, I got a few better ones. There's some newer shit, but I love all of my babies on that album.
Gee, have you ever done an album?
I haven't, no. And you know, like Jay said, I think it's one of those things that if the opportunity were to come, like I'm not really rushing to do one unless it seems like there's some good opportunity to do it. You know what I mean?
Because you guys spend like a couple grand on the album, and then you guys spend a couple grand on promotion. It's like not
right.
You maybe break even if you sell out 2 shows, because you still got to pay for like all the other stuff, or like you get an advance and they tell you got to pay it back. And then you have to come up with a promotional strategy. You have to come up with like, basically the minute you're done with the album, then you start kind of being like, oh, when I get these tracks back, this is how I edit. And this, like my release date could have been at any point. And I'm glad it was late enough in quarantine that people had adjusted, and not at the beginning of quarantine when people were like, I don't want to buy anything. What's going on? I got to buy hand sanitizer. I got my gloves. I can't waste money on an album.
Totally. What about you, Francis?
Yeah, no, I haven't done an album. You know, I don't have. I shot that special at Barstool.
Yeah.
And that was like 52 minutes, and it was basically all the best stuff I'd ever come up with in my life.
Yeah, because I tell people it took me 29 years to come up. It took me like, I don't want to say 32 because I don't want them to know, but I'll be like, it took me like 20. It took me like 29 years to come up with that. I was my baby. Right,
and then that was only last May. That was like almost a year ago that I did that. So I was coming up with a new hour, but I wasn't there yet before all this started. So now it's going to be a while. Oh,
but that's good. I think.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
I love seeing people like piece by piece build something. It's like this weird, like you can tell someone like upstairs in comedy middle management is like, what if we convince them that they have to have a new hour every 6 months instead of it being good? And then it like trickled its way down. And everyone's like, I'm working on all this new stuff. And I'm like, what about the stuff that ain't good yet? What you doing with that? They're like, oh, but I need like, I'm like, dog, young. Okay. Right. All right.
Totally. Well, it's like, why not build it instead of just like getting it to 40% and moving on?
Oh, yeah. And people will say that. Like, there's a famous Chris Rock quote where he's like, they're called specials for a reason, and it's a lot of regulars out there.
Yeah. Here's a question.
Yes.
You are Black.
Yeah.
And you are queer.
Yeah. Oh
and you're
yeah.
extremely handsome. You've also been on HBO. You've done
Yeah.
high
High
maintenance. Sorry, yeah,
Sex scene.
Great show.
yeah. You've done all kinds of cool stuff. You're so castable. You're so likable. Is there ever a part of you that acknowledges or feels like your race and your sexual orientation have gotten you indoors that
Oh,
you might not like? Are you
100%.
getting advantages? And then do you not like that, or do you not care?
Ooh, me and Broussard talk about this. So I have a couple of thoughts about it. So from a casting standpoint, I love it because what happens is I'll be like, yeah, I'm getting this opportunity. And then I walk in and I'm like, oh, wait a second. Who are all these other handsome black men? Because the email said that it was just me.
Yeah.
So it can definitely give me an audition. Like my face, my queerness can help me maybe get an audition. I've never thought that I've booked anything that wasn't already gonna go to me because of funny or like acting chops. Like this sucks to say, I like know people that are queer and that are a minority. And listen, if I was disabled, maybe then I could get everything I want. But I'm nearsighted and I'm left-handed, and that's as close as it gets. There are certain comedians that, and this is art. Art is subjective. That want to be known from a personality standpoint for how different they are. And I love how different I am, but my primary accolade, if I have my druthers, is I want to be a great joke writer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want people to go, oh, he's black, I'm going to get a lot of performance energy, he's queer, I'm going to get a lot of sass, and then for them to hear my material and go, oh, whoa, time out. He's a good joke writer.
Mm-hmm.
This was unexpected. Wait, time out. That's okay. Like when a 40-year-old, like kind of boring, very plain couple from one of those states shaped like a square comes up to me after a show and it's like, I love your stuff. And I was like, really? Okay, great. They're like, where can we see you? I was like, well, where you guys staying? And I'm like, let me guess, Midtown? Okay, so you can see me at these places. I like being a good joke writer. So I feel like I can get people will be interested sometimes because they'll be like, oh, let me see if he checks off these boxes. And then they'll hear my stuff and be like, oh, he's better than these boxes. So I acknowledge it. Also, I have like pretty privilege. Like that's like a real thing. It's I acknowledge it. I love it. I need it. If someone was like, oh, Jay wouldn't have been cast as a sex worker if he wasn't hot. Of course not, dummy. Shit.
Yeah.
Can you just let me be a hoe for like a little bit?
Yeah.
That's funny.
You're not going out for Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the after picture, not the before. Don't get mad. It's 2 jobs.
Right. Totally, dude. Is there any sort of like underlying sort of like competition between queer comedians that like other people wouldn't be aware of?
Yeah. Oh, G's asking the good stuff. See,
hey, I had a good one right before him. Don't take that away from me. I got us started on this train.
Francis's question was amazing, but G is getting to what we call in the community the T.
Fine,
So,
whatever.
and by T, I do mean crystal meth. So there's like a weird combination of what do you want out of your career, because some people are very aware of like consumption. Like, let's say I do this podcast. Someone is like, are you comfortable doing that podcast with like 2 straight guys? And I'm like, I cannot only serve people that already know and like me. Like, you guys already know and like me. But the idea that every room, every venue, every podcast, every publication should already be a friend of yours is self-serving, but also self-limiting. I love comedic anonymity. So there's this weird kind of like friction between people that think we should only perform and give our services to queer spaces and queer people, and people like me who are like, no, this shit is for everyone, okay? I grew up with everybody. I'm going to perform for everybody. My family is everybody. My best friends are everybody. I can't.
Right.
So like the competition is like in that aspect, because then some people are like, well, what are you doing performing at that place? I'm like, because they paid me. And they're like, wait a second, you get paid to do comedy? I'm like, see, that's why you do shows in Manhattan. And then there's another internal competition where it's like, they already put a gay person on that thing. Let me check and see if they put a black person. Like you go, have they as like a company or as an entity been like, well, we checked that box off. We don't need another. It's the equivalent of like, sometimes you see a lineup and you'll be like, I know you guys feel this. You'll be like, oh, fuck. There's 3 straight guys on here already. God damn it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then Francis like, but they're short.
They're poor. You know what I mean?
That's what I meant. You got it. The wasps
Jay,
have
I
like
think
a separate language.
Yeah. I think there's something really interesting in that, which is, if you talk about like college gigs and NACA as an example, and NACA is the North American College. Whatever.
I think, it's the North American Collegiate Association, or like.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, NACA is this like organization where you basically have to audition to prove that you are eligible to be given work by them. They're like, right? They're the governing board, but you have to perform very clean. I mean, you go ahead and tell us about it. Yeah.
You send an audition tape in December. And this is the way it worked out 2 years ago. This is how I got all my college gigs. You send an audition tape in December, and then let's say you get a yes, or you send it in the fall and then you get a yes in December, and then you can send another tape of like what you're actually going to do, and then you have to pay. You have to pay like $1,400. You pay like $1,400. You go to the convention, and then you audition for like a bunch of schools. I want to say like close to 1,000 schools, and they're all there with like their SAB, Student Activities Board, or whatever it's called at their school, and it's students and the faculty supervisor, and they see you perform, and you can kind of do whatever you want, but they do err on the cleaner side because they want you to like them, and then you can be a little bit dirty depending on the school. And then you get statements of interest and statement and offers from those schools. So it's like a big convention. It feels very college, because then you go to the booth and wait. They come by, and like you can kind of talk them up. And the big factors are usually price point and if the faculty like you. So kids love comedy. It's usually faculty that's like, oh, we can have them, but like they sent me. 3 schools sent me a content letter, and I messed with one of them because of it. Like, because they told me they were a very Catholic school. This is a joke I wrote just for them too. I said, I understand you guys are a very Catholic school. It's like, I get it. I understand. And you guys are probably worried if some comics come here and make like jokes about like, but I won't do that. I respect your Catholicism. I would never come to this school and make any jokes about condoms. In fact, me and my boyfriend don't even use them. And so that school, the kids laughed and the faculty member was like,
yeah.
And
well,
that's what I love. That's the line I like to play with. So I don't think college kids are becoming more sensitive. It's just that, like John Mulaney said it, people don't want to pay Seinfeld and Chris Rock to do college shows. Like it's price point and a little bit of like cultural pendulum swinging, because that definitely happens. Like you come on stage, if you offer up a premise that they're like, that's kind of inflammatory, as a comic, you guys both know this, what you want to do is be like, okay, you hate the premise, but let me tell you the punchline so you can enjoy it. Right. You guys are like, oh, no, you should have said what you said. I'm like, I know, you're right. But just let me finish so I can make you laugh. So it's like a mix, but I say it's 80% good, the 20% bureaucracy, but that's also like the industry.
Right. Well, that's great, dude. I really appreciate you joining us today. We keep our episodes pretty short, but
You guys are the best. I love it.
it's fun, man. Jay Jurden, everybody, check out his album, Jay Jurden, y'all.
Yeah.
On iTunes.
Say it again.
Jay Jurden, y'all.
Man, you can hear him put you all together as he says it. You can hear him phonate both of those words.
I do not like the word y'all.
It is crisp, like an apple from Maine. It's just, I love it. Look, Francis, first of all, I do want to thank you because you're one of the nicest people that I've ever met in comedy, who's also good. But people shit on Francis because they're like, oh, he's handsome, and then like, oh, he's got a bunch of followers, and then I love watching them see him do jokes and they go, oh, he's good.
Oh, wow. This is nice. They just
get so mad because they have like they go, I know how he got those followers, those shirtless pictures with those dogs. And you'll be like, nah, that ain't it. That's the opposite. In fact, he wishes he could take those down because people are
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Follow him, Jay Jurden. Is that your Instagram? Sorry.
Yeah, you did it right. No, everything. I believe in brand synchronicity. It's Jay Jurden, all one word, on all platforms.
Hell yeah. Check out his album and watch his Fallon set too, because it's spectacularly funny. For now, that's Oops the Podcast. Send us your mistakes, your funny stories from quarantine to oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. Follow Oops the Podcast on Instagram. That's Giulio Gallerati. G, you feeling good?
Feeling good, baby.
Hell yeah, me too. Thanks, Jay. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, G.